everyone. Welcome again to another episode of Ladies Lounge TV show. Today we are going to touch on a really sensitive topic, suicide. And we are particularly going to angle in a very common notion that goes around, which is Africans don't commit suicide. Fact or myth? Before we begin, I would love to introduce my ladies. We have Stephanie. Hello, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Cordelia. Thank you for having me.
How are you?
Very well, thank you, Cordelia. You look lovely as usual.
Oh my gosh, that's her. I love the look, the hair, the makeup, everything.
Thank you.
I love it. Welcoming a sister. One that we haven't seen. Well, I personally haven't seen you in a while. Kalisha, where have you been? Welcome back.
Thank you. I've been traveling, I've been working, I've been staying safe and washing my hands, girl.
Good to have you, girl. Good to have you. So yes, ladies, this is it. This is what we're going to touch on. Mental health, suicide, but particularly in the Black home. We're going to explore that. But before we go into it, please have a look at this video.
Over the past decade, suicide attempts among Black children rose 92%. In the U.S., Black children under the age of 13 are twice as likely to die by suicide than white children. Experts aren't entirely sure why this deadly disparity is happening.
Mental health does play a big part. We need more support and awareness. We got to break the cycle.
As I haven't been around for a little while, I think I want to contribute early because I'm just like bursting at the seams. I think that that's a big myth because it is also a big taboo. We don't speak about it. So it's quite a delicate subject, and I feel that it's a situation that we have to kind of break down. When you say Africans don't commit suicide, we know that that's false because statistics show us that. But in terms of culture, we don't talk about it. So because we don't necessarily acknowledge it, it can therefore be a thing where our non-acknowledgement of it is basically essentially saying that it doesn't exist, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
Black folk don't commit suicide. I was just talking about this. I actually have a personal experience in my family. One of my very close family members, when I was a teenager, had a suicide attempt. The person overdosed on pills. We all went to the hospital. It was very traumatic. It was horrible. And then we came home and we never mentioned it ever again. To this day, never mentioned it, never talked about it, never got counseling.
Suicide knows no social strata. It knows no race. It knows no color. It cuts across human race, really, because it's a situation where it's feeling like they can't take a pain anymore. And I know that people who commit suicide really don't want to die. They're just trying to run away from a pain. They're trying to end the pain. They're trying to escape pretty much from something that they feel they can't handle. And time and time again, people who have survived suicide, they always have that feeling of, regrets, because dying wasn't actually what they would have wanted. It was just that escape. So that's why it's important, with mental health, for people to have people around. Sometimes we notice, how people are withdrawn or, acting stranger than they would usually have, or like little signs, to show that this all is not well with this person. Those are the times we should step up.
On that note, on that note, I wanted to actually, because that's a really, really interesting part that you've just touched on, which I think now would be a really good time for viewers to just look at the video, and we will come back and talk even more, because we'll talk even more on that.
This is so intricate.
Trey Lee says for years he struggled with depression.
I would have this impulse to get that knife, and I would be like so tempted to just put it right through me and end it all.
At 13, he attempted suicide. A recent study shows suicide rates for black children aged 5 to 12 were 2 times higher than white kids of the same age.
I mean, what do we say? Where do we start?
Yeah, I know it's heavy to talk about. Really, it's really heavy. I think it's a big job for parents raising children, right? It's actually a big job for everybody, looking out for everybody. There's a man called Kevin Hines who tried to commit suicide in like the year 2000 or so. He said that he made a pact with himself on the way to the bridge, that if anybody would say hello to him or smile at him, he wouldn't do it. He was 19 years old, right? So he was a young man. But nobody said hello to him. Nobody smiled at him. So he went to the bridge and he jumped off. And he said the moment his hands left the rail, he felt instant regret.
Wow.
So you see, it's not actually the intention to die. It's just like something is crowding the person trying to commit suicide. So when you watch that video, that boy must have been feeling overwhelmed for whatever reason, and it wasn't picked up on. That's why I said parents have a big job to notice the mood of the children.
A study actually says that children from the age of 5, age of 5 to 12 are more likely to die because of suicide. And another shocking statistics that clip sort of highlights is the fact that a whopping 73% of Black children, hear this, Black children have attempted suicide. 73%. What do you think might be leading to the higher rate of not just suicidal thoughts or mental health? Because everybody knows, I mean, it's of common knowledge that Black people actually have the highest rates of mental health sufferers. What do you think? Or what do you think are the things that could be leading to that?
Well, before I answer that, just to touch briefly on the video, that was quite shocking, actually. I think it's important for us to remember and actually talk about the fact that it said in that video, the statistics are that Black and Hispanic children are the least likely to get mental health help. So I don't know whether they are not receiving the help because they're not asking for it, or whether people in authority are not referring them, or if it's again for whatever reason, but specifically cultural reasons, perhaps why they are not seeking the help that they need, unfortunately. To answer your question, I believe that there are a multiplicity of factors that are at work, but I think the socioeconomic factor is the main factor as far as I can see, because if we look at it comparatively, Black children, whether that be African, Caribbean, mixed race, they all fall under the same sort of umbrella. They are unfortunately on a lower socioeconomic level than their white counterparts. And that is because of the parents being in jobs that are less, should I say, they're not necessarily jobs that bring in a lot of money. And that in itself can lead to further stresses, that can lead to depression, that can lead to anxiety, that can lead to high blood pressure. Those are things that are affecting adults. Now, how that has an effect on young children can lead to them being themselves depressed when they see their peers, in a higher financial, having more things than they do, because children will naturally compare themselves, and also then they see the stress that their parents are under, financial stress due to the lower income jobs that they are in. And, that takes a toll on them as well. It takes a psychological toll, and it takes an emotional toll on them. Those are mainly, as far as I can see, those are the two main factors.
We have spoken about this being a taboo, people treating this as a taboo. It's not only the feeling. Sometimes someone can actually be mentally ill, like schizophrenia, where they are hearing voices in their head, asking them to do things. That happens too. And because it's a taboo to kill oneself, they may be going through this and not say anything. So it's important we be the warmth for someone. And then if there is an immediate danger, don't leave them alone. If you recognize that, okay, this person is actually trying to do something funny or something strange, don't leave them alone. Call 999. We've got the Samaritans, we've got the, helplines. There's always help available. Suicide is never a way out.
It has to do with parents as well. I think we have to do different from our grandparents or our parents, to tell our children it's okay. Tell our boys it's okay to cry. It's okay to feel pain. It's okay to express your pain. It's not weakness. It's actually strength to be able to express yourself. And I think when people are brought up to say, be strong, and they have things going in their mind, and sometimes they want to take the easy way out. Yeah. So my message to men out there is, if you're stressed, say you're stressed. Seek help when you think you need help. There are lots of charities out there that can help you. There's a suicide advice line. I'm sure they'll have it on the screen that can help you, because when you take your life, you are doing your family so much harm, because you're not going to be there. Your kids are not going to have their dad to play football with. They're going to have their dad to be at the graduation. There are a lot of things that men bring to the life of a child. If you look at the statistics, most of the boys that you see stabbing people on the streets, most of these boys that are behaving badly, check them. They haven't got no male figure in their life. They have got no male figure. So the role of a man is so important. And that's why we are here speaking to men. If you're feeling stressed, if you're feeling, suicidal, seek help. Because sometimes it's just most times it's a small thing. You just need someone to help you talk it through and make sense of it. I have been there. I've felt suicidal before. I've stood on a building. I was going to jump out. And when I look back now, although I was going through a lot in my life at that time, but that would have helped anything at all. That would have just put my children would probably be raised by someone else. And I don't know how they would have been right now.
This family has narrowly escaped a second tragedy.
I just woke up and went to fetch firewood. Then I found him hanging himself. I go to school for my parents. So when I saw my father hanging, nothing else came to my mind.
While the family was mourning the father's suicide, his son, Francis, went back into the house. He got hold of rat poison and wrote this suicide note. Before he came to any harm, he was found by the police.
According to that thing, I said, it's better to die than to suffer. I don't know what to say, because when I was writing, I was serious. But since I never did that, and I have no plans to do that, because I'm now feeling the pain of being left. I don't want anyone else to suffer the same. The moment you commit suicide, you don't add your pain. You just send it to others.